About 22 years ago, I was working at a packing plant and had just ended a 4-year long-term relationship where I was cheated on. I put her to the curb and started dating again. I met this recently divorced girl at work who was the receptionist. She was cute and a lot of fun.
So we started seeing each other.
Everything was going well, but I wasn't serious about anything long-term. She would drop hints about moving in together and I just never could pull the trigger with her. Something was wrong. We got really busy at work and I was volunteering for as much overtime as I could to make extra money. I worked evenings and my crew was small and we were really close. One night, one of my guys said he saw my boss's car at my girlfriend's apartment building since he lived about 30 miles away. I knew something was up. I had worked for him the previous weekend and my girlfriend ended up going to the casino that weekend since I got called into work. I knew something was up. So I walked up to her door and knocked. She asked, "Who is it?" I said, "It's me, baby. I dropped by to see how you're doing." I had a few minutes. She opened the door and let me in and he was nowhere to be seen. I asked him to step out of hiding and he did. I asked what was going on and for how long. They said they had been hooking up for about 2 weeks. My boss, who was recently divorced, was having hell with his ex. I had felt sorry for him up until that point. I said, "Well, I don't appreciate the high school bull crap and that I didn't care if he saw her. If he wanted to turn, he could have just told me and we could have been adults about it." He apologized for it. And then I told him that I didn't want this to interfere with my overtime. I still wanted to work as many weekends as I could. He said no problem. I never at any point acknowledged my soon-to-be ex existence. She immediately became invisible and unable to make a sound in my presence. She kept trying to get my attention and apologize, but I never responded to her in any way between his messy divorce and my girlfriend. My boss had also been dating this cute young girl about 20 that worked at the plant a few days later at work. She asked me what was going on. I told her about what happened and she was a little hurt. I told her that it was good. She found out now before it was more serious. She said we should go out and piss them off, which we did, and she was a freak. I had a lot of fun with her one day in the office while my boss was there. One of my coworkers asked me how my date went. I said it was great and possibly the best trade I had ever made, no regrets. My boss just got up and walked out. We didn't speak about anything other than business for about 2 weeks. On Fridays, we would sell employee sales to employees. The employees would go to the receptionist and pay and get a ticket to bring to us and we would give them their food. My boss said, "Hey, I'm going to take these 10 boxes and I'll pay for them up front on my way out." The road out went right past the receptionist's office so I could see if he paid or not. He did not, since he had seemed to make this decision on the fly. I called the plant accountant and asked him to check the cash box and the tickets to see if there were any there for my boss. I suspected that my ex would just fill out the tickets and have them ready, and that way we couldn't catch her unless the box was short. No tickets had been made. So he just got in trouble and was eventually fired later. She was being scrutinized and seemed to be short in the cash box, but we were unable to tell for sure. So they had someone come in and pay for food with a $100 bill, since there were no big orders done the rest of the day that would have required $100 as change. And since the $100 bill was missing from the box at the end of the day, they knew she was skimming. She got fired. I replaced my boss as the superintendent of the department. I got rid of a cheating girlfriend, had freaky sex with his ex and got to brag about it to his face. Got rid of that same cheating boss, got 2 thieves fired. Got a promotion and still got to keep my overtime. Things usually don't work out that well for me, but that was priceless despite everything you achieved. What really was amazing was how you completely dismissed your ex's existence amidst her cheating, good or bad. You didn't give her the attention. She must have been sorely lacking to have cheated. You didn't feed into it instead. You played the long game. I hope you're the beacon for future survivors of infidelity to find the strength and courage to move on from their wayward spouses or jaded partners and reroute that love, energy and strength toward themselves. Thank you for your post. Now, let's get into today's second story. My wife and I have been married for 3 years and have a 2-year-old son with a very recent pregnancy. 10 weeks for our next baby. We both work from home and have been locked down for the past year almost. So we have been living with and seeing each other every day. None of which I am complaining about. I actually love being with the family. There are other stressors in my life, though I have low self-esteem.
I stress about money.
I stress about my extended family's health and I stress about my job. But I try not to let any of this affect my family life. At least with my son, my wife is fully aware of the stress. I feel I have expressed, I am stressed enough times and I accept most of it cannot be changed. At this time, my wife and I are open with each other about everything at least. So I thought, and we both have our faces registered for unlocking on each other's phones. I had full trust in her and never once doubted anything she was doing on her phone, no matter the hour or lack of response while she was on social media. I let her have it because I fully trusted her. Cut to last week and I was just bringing her phone to her from another room. The phone was lying down flat and I turned the screen to face me like I generally do, expecting to see her home screen picture of our son. Instead, it opened her photo gallery and I found some barely clothed pictures and one incriminating one of her lying down and slightly pulling her underwear. I didn't want to believe what I was seeing and handed her the phone, but it was killing me and I had to confront her to ask what those pictures were. This is where the lie started. Her first response was to just say, I want to feel good about myself before I get the bump from pregnancy. I called BS on that and said, you don't take pictures in those poses for that. She confessed that she was sending them to someone, but that was all it led to. I didn't want to know who or how it happened. I was just starting to process everything. I chose to ignore it for that day, mostly because I was in shock and also because I had to take care of our toddler. I was distant the whole day, not wanting to be with her. I wanted space. I browsed Reddit, Quora and any other forum for information or advice. That night I had no one to talk to and nowhere to go in lockdown. I barely slept. And the next day I demanded to know who it was. Turns out it was a guy from work and they had been using their work team's chat to communicate. I asked her how far it went. And she said just the pictures, nothing more. I suspected more BS and then asked to see the chats on Teams and on Instagram. She was hesitant. She didn't want to show me out of fear of hurting me. Yeah, I know I should have called it. I was getting more upset. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. But I told her I couldn't continue until I saw the messages. She still gave the excuse that she didn't want to hurt me. But I was beginning to see the pattern. The next day was a work day and because we share an office in her house, I could see a few times that she was furiously typing away on a Teams chat. No, guess who it was? I confronted her after work and she still did not want to share the messages. I gave up and I told her I needed to see it. Otherwise we were separating. She came to me the following day and confessed that she had lied. They did meet twice and the last time was a week earlier when all they did was kiss. I got incensed. I knew they didn't just kiss and compounded with all the trickle truths. It was even crazier to think. I believe that I demanded then and there that she show me the chats. I knew she had deleted the messages on Instagram and the slimy affair partner was trying to purge his chat messages. The sheer volume of messages was telling. I saw messages for a whole 2 hours. Going back 3 months, it started off flirting, then crossed a line becoming sexually charged, even expressing how they would have sex with each other. She was pining for him on the chats. And what was worse was that they both stated what they were doing was wrong but continued to do it. Now we're in lockdown here so we can't really go out except for groceries, etc. Yet these two decided their escapade was worthy enough to forego the lockdown and our marriage. We've been fighting every day since. I don't think she's remorseful even though she had said she is. She is becoming headstrong, suggesting that she also has her feelings and that she doesn't have to live like this by this. I mean, me looking through her phone now, not trusting her. She blames the affair on me, not being intimate with her and not giving her the attention she needs. I told her she had broken me and thrown away our marriage, but she wants me to just get through it so we can mend the relationship. Writing this down. It feels like I am being a chump and taking all of this. Maybe I am just weak, but I am scared of how our children will be impacted. I love them so much. We have marriage counseling in 2 days. I'm embracing myself for the criticism from her and the case that she uses that as an excuse for what she did. I need some guidance on what to do. I am afraid I am not financially stable enough to endure it, and we have a baby going to be born soon. How can I build trust when she's gaslighting me? Sorry if this is long. I have no other outlet for my grief. You need to divorce her, dude. You can't mend this. If she isn't taking any responsibility for what she's doing, this was never your fault. She knows that she's only saying that to avoid the guilt and shame internally for her. They even knew what they were doing was wrong and they still did. Don't let your kids suffer due to you both staying together. Get out of there and separate ASAP and then start to look for a divorce when you can afford it. You got to put yourself and your family first. Don't let her walk all over you. The fact that she kept lying, didn't disclose everything and was trickle-truth-thing and still blames you. There is no going back once that affair, fog/lust goes away and she's sitting there alone. She's going to come crying back to you. But that's where you take your worth and move on. Take your power back and end this relationship and be co-parents. This relationship isn't salvageable.
Good luck.
Now, for the final story, I found out the truth a couple of days into a family vacation with wayward wife and 2 kids. I posted previously in relationship advice about this. I kept things hush until we got back and had a confrontation with wayward wife. After the kids were asleep. During the confrontation, she refused to admit she did anything wrong. Even though I was insistent that I knew something was going on. I somehow thought she would admit it, but she would not. I told her that I had seen her texts and told her what I saw. Only then did she admit that she was having an affair. But she downplayed it by saying AP was a drug addict. He was young, 25, a former student of hers. She is a high school teacher. They shared an emotional connection because he lost a friend and she lost her mother a couple of years ago, and she admitted that it went too far and it got physical and she was ashamed. It seemed like she was genuinely sorry for what she did. So, yes, full EA and then PAI said that I wanted her to cut it off. If we were to have any chance of reconciliation. She did nothing that night as it was late and slept in a different room. The next day I told her again that she had to cut it off and that I wanted to witness it. She sent him a text message that was really short and said, in the interests of my family, we need to stop seeing each other. There was no response at that time. Pretty weak breakup. In my opinion. She went to spend the night at an empty family friend's place. As I said, I needed space. There was no contact with AP that evening, at least by phone or text. Barf. The next day I asked if AP wrote back. She said, no, he didn't write back and that he wouldn't. I told her that I didn't believe that he didn't write back and that I wanted proof. They were over. She said she didn't want to phone him because it was already over. She refused to let me see her phone though, as that was obviously an invasion of her privacy. The next day, she sent me a text saying she got a response from AP with a snapshot of the text history. It was such a polite response. Best of luck to you and your family. I am certain this was a fabrication.
I mean, who ends a passionate relationship like that?
I was really hoping that reconciliation would be an option after the initial confrontation, but this looks like full-on affair fog to me. I can't believe anything she tells me. I told her that I didn't buy that they could end it like that. So abrupt and polite after the connection they had. She insisted there was nothing else she could show me. I guessed that she was deleting her texts. So perhaps that was true. She wanted to spend the night at the family friend's place again as she felt suffocated, staying in the house. I am certain they will meet, looking for some advice or maybe reassurance on what I should do. I'm trying to arrange a meeting with a lawyer. Do I just let her do her thing and proceed with planning for divorce? Trying to bust her in the act? Gather more evidence. Should I get the family friend involved? Not sure if I can even trust them as they are close to her family. You need to get a meeting with a lawyer and let her know that in the absence of proof, you are proceeding down the path of filing for divorce. Make sure the lawyer knows her AP is a drug addict. You need to protect your kids. She is almost certainly claiming she is staying with family and friends so she can communicate with her AP in peace. And as you said, she is most likely continuing to meet him. She should be able to tell you where she is staying, but she won't. She doesn't want you to find her with him. Don't keep her secrets, but you can't count on what her family friend will do. This friend may in fact know about the affair already and be facilitating it. You also can't discount the possibility that this is a continuation of things that happened when he was her student and that this is long-term infidelity. Thanks for taking the time to listen to today's stories. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already and comment below on what your thoughts are on today's stories. If there is a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact me. Take care.